Hello everyone, welcome back to Tina Teach JavaScript 101. Today's lesson is about displaying output. Okay, so printing stuff. Let's move on to the first part, display data, the different ways that you can print out something. And we're just talking strings, we're talking integers, and mathematical operations as well. So 5 plus 6, for example. You can also print boolean values, true or false. You can also print float as well, 4.2, 8.5. There are four main ways that you can print out such values. The first one, and the most popular one, is inner HTML, albeit its syntax is way longer than the rest. You have document write, which is self-explanatory. Window alert, this one is for a pop-up on your browser, so not necessarily just a bunch of text on the screen. Console log, this one is more so for development, right, for production, rather than something that you want to put in your final product. Let's tackle inner HTML first. So this is the code that we're working with. Up here is the HTML part. And in HTML, I have a paragraph with ID change, as well as div with change. And in the script section, the JavaScript section, document get element by ID change. So it is just as it is saying, it gets the element, the HTML element, via ID change. So it gets the P and it gets the div. Inner HTML, so inserted into the HTML, the B is now hungry, okay? In the case of P, we already have the little b is drinking. So once the JavaScript is executed, this line right here will be replaced by the B is now hungry. As for div, since it has nothing in it at all, it's just going to have the B is now hungry. There will be no replacements, okay? Next up to document.write. Document.write, like console log, is mainly for testing, and it makes it really, really convenient. And very simply, document.write, the dog walked in the park. Now, it's not going to replace any HTML element, okay? It's not going to do anything like that. It's just going to put the dog walked in the park right on your browser. It's just going to put it right there in the HTML file. Now, one thing with document.write is that it will delete all existing HTML. That's why it's very useful for testing and not for production. For example, I have the HTML element P, the mice is looking for the cheese, and I have a button, okay? Since we have a button, we don't need to put the script tag. We can just insert the JavaScript syntax, just right in there. Button, type button, on click, meaning when you click on it, execute document.write 4+4, click, closing the button. So you will have a little button that says click, and when you click on it, the mice is looking for the cheese will be replaced with 8. As simple as that. Now to window.alert. Window.alert, again, like document.write, will delete all existing HTML. But given the name, it is an alert, so it's sort of like a pop-up, right? It's not a paragraph that's just going to be put into your HTML file. It's just going to little pop-up says this is an alert. Or you can alert 10 plus 15 equals to 25. You can use string, integers, floats, booleans. It's up to you to test it out. Last but not least, we have console log. It's for debugging purposes. We have the float, 3.5 plus 2.5. This will give us 5.5. And you can console log like that, and it just push it up there on your browser. Now, what about print? Because we've seen through Python, we've seen through Django, right? That there's always a neat little print method that we can use to print whatever we want. But JavaScript doesn't really have that. It doesn't have any print object or methods. Button, on-click, window.print, print this, please. Button. That's it. I'm going to establish a new property of JavaScript that you may be interested. So for this div, I'm going to add something, just a bunch of nonsense, and I'm going to create another button. Type, button, okay, on click equals to replace div, okay, try me. And then let's go to JavaScript number 1 and put this into a function. And we have to go with the correct function, function name, replace div. So replace div. And then put this over here, in here. And now with our website, we have a bunch of nonsense over here. And if we click try me, we get hello world, right? And if we click me for cake, we get the cake is velvet. Now that we've linked the two scripts into our main.html file, let's go ahead and modify the first script. We're going to use the first script for testing, okay? We've already established that inner HTML can do its job of printing and replacing content very well. Now let's go ahead and try document write 2 plus 2, for example, okay? Now if you click on try me, you would get 4. However, notice that both of the buttons are gone. They should be there, okay? And this basically means that document write replaces everything in your HTML file. So it replaces everything that you've coded into your HTML file. Therefore, it is incredibly useful for testing, but obviously it has limited practicality when it comes to, releasing and like using it in the final products. How about we try document write in a button? So let's try this, the second one. And when you click on try me, you get the same results. So I'm going to go ahead and undo all of that. Make sure to save, go back to JavaScript 1, and let's move on with window alert. Click on this and you get an alert, okay? This page says alert. It's not going to print directly into the browser, and you can still have, your elements still in here. You can simply press OK to get rid of it. Keep in mind that you can get rid of the window.part completely and still retain the same results. Let me click try me, and it still works just as well. For debugging purposes, as I've mentioned, you can use console.log. Let's try a bunch of random numbers plus. Okay, instead of integer, how about we do it with floats? And don't forget the semicolon at the back here. You can go to inspect element and then head on to the console section. So I've already did a calculation over here, but you can clear console history and clear console just like that. Console.log, let's say 2.2 plus 3.6. We're going to go with floats instead of integer. And you're going to have the following result. Okay, so that's one way that you can use for debugging purposes. Last but not least, let's head on to the window.print method. Window.print. Last but not least, let's head on to the window.print method. And I'm going to go ahead, window.print. Print this. When you reset the whole thing and you click on print this, it's going to give you this window over here, and you have the option to use your printer. Now that's it for today's lesson. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Next lesson is going to be about JavaScript statements. So do tune in, and I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.